Hi, Becky here and welcome to my channel. In this video I will show you how to compose the main theme of my track Hypnotic Loops 5 on the Roland J-6. Doing so, we'll also explore the sequencing capabilities of the J-6. Disclaimer, I have bought all the products that I will show you and I have no interest in the corresponding brands. Besides, they are all listed in the video description as long as other useful informations. Even if you have no musical knowledge, you can easily create melodies with the J-6. In the following steps I will explain how to do it as well as a little bit of music theory. Music is all about notes in terms of pitch, but also time, the duration of each note, the time between two notes, etc. We will assume in the following that you use the common time signature widely used in Western music, also known as 4/4. Let's first choose a blank pattern. We first choose the tempo. It corresponds to the speed of the rhythm and is also called in electronic music the BPM, which stands for beats per minute. When you hear electronic music, you can be tempted to kick the floor with your foot. This is actually the beat. By default, it appears on the screen when powered up. If not, press the sound or, in this case, the pattern button to toggle between the value and the tempo. And here is the tempo. Turn the value knob to set it to 138. Okay. Then we choose the time length of each step of the sequencer. It is called beat by Roland. Press Shift, menu, and turn the value knob until beat appear. Press enter, and here you can see you can change the value between 1/4 up to 8. The lowest value is 1/4. In electronic music, it is usually the smallest time interval between two notes. 1/4 stands for 1 divided by 4, where 1 stands for 1 beat. When set to 4, each step of the sequence will last 4 beats multiplied by 4 notes equals to 16 notes. 1/4 corresponds to 16th note in musical terms. Sometimes you will also hear the word bar. A bar contains 16 of those notes. The kick drum pulsating the tempo will hit every 4 notes. This way a bar contains also 4 kicks. When the beat parameter is set to 4, each step of the sequencer will last 1 bar. Let's exit. If you need further information, you can check time signature on internet. Then choose the length of the pattern. The length is the number of steps inside the pattern. Once on the last step, the J-6 will resume to the first step and so on. Press Shift and last. Turn the knob until 16. Exit. What does it mean? Since we previously set the beat parameter to 4, each step equals to 16 notes or 1 bar. By setting the pattern length to 16, the pattern will correspond to 256 notes or 16 bars. Let's now talk about style variation, step sequencing, and first, a few words about chords and arpeggios. Chords can contain 2, 3, 4, or even more notes played simultaneously to create harmony. The J-6 is able to play chords up to 4 notes simultaneously. Arpeggios is a particular way to play chords by playing each note it contains one after the other. Apart from the notes, you can choose the way they are played. For instance, in an ascending order, the lowest pitch first up to the highest pitch and back to the lowest. In descending order, highest down to lowest and back to highest, and so on, or even up and down, a combination of ascending followed by descending order. The Hypnotic Loops 5 theme used 3-note chords played as descending arpeggios. The J-6 offers several arpeggios options thanks to the style variation settings. In our case, we will choose 2.3. To sum it up, 3 corresponds to a descending arpeggio and 2 point to the time interval between each note inside the arpeggio, and in this case, 16th of a bar, which is, as I said before, the most used time interval in electronic music. I encourage you to read the manual and try by yourself other parameters to hear the differences between them. Here is finally the fundamental thing to understand about composing arpeggios in the J-6. If we sequence 3 notes on one step, it will loop several times until the sequencer jumps to the next step in accordance to the step time length. As said previously, we have set the beat parameter to 4, meaning each step lasts up to 1 bar or 16 notes in duration. This means, in our case, that the motif of 3 notes will play 5 times. 3 multiplied by 5 equals 15 plus 1 note. Since it is also possible to link several steps together with a hold function, you can make the arpeggio plays even longer on several steps. For instance, with 4 steps, or 64 notes, it will play 21 times. 3 multiplied by 21 equals 63 notes plus 1 note. Time has now come to finally compose the pattern. To enter step sequencing, press pattern once, or in this case we are already in it, but I will show you default mode. You have select your pattern, place a second time pattern, and then you enter the sequencer. Select the first step, and then step 1 appear. To toggle between the steps, you can either select directly the steps or turn the knob. For the first step, we will choose the style variation, as I said before. So we choose 2 or 3, and then we can enter the notes. Also important to consider, you have to take care of which octave range you are in. This case, when the 2 buttons are lit, you are in octave 0, which corresponds to C4, D4, etc. For the first step, we want a C4, we want D4 sharp, let's turn down hold, go back to a step, C4, D4 sharp, and G3. You have to go down an octave. There it is. Then we want to span those notes on the 3 following steps. You have 2 ways to do it. If you stay in step 1, you can press hold directly, and then you will see the following step will lit. So hold. Step 2 is lit. 3, 4, etc. Or you can also select the step, push hold manually, etc., etc. And then the 3 notes are spanned on the 4 steps. Let's move on to step 5. Let's go back to octave 0. Let's enter the notes. So C4, D4 sharp, G3 sharp. We want the same for following steps, step 6. There it is. Let's move on to step 7. always revert to default octave. So C4, F4, G3 sharp. Let's go back to octave 0. Move on to step 8. C4, G4, G3 sharp. To go to the following steps, turn the knob and the 8 following steps will appear. We are in step 9. Go back to default octave range. C4, G4, F3 sharp. We want the same for step 10. Let's move on to step 11. C4, F4, F3 sharp. Let's move on to step 12. D4, F4, F3 sharp, A3 sharp, yeah. Let's move on to step 13. C4, D4 sharp, G3 sharp. The same for the following step, and then step 15. D4, G3, and B3, and the same for the last step. Let's hear it. To exit sequencer, press pattern, et voilà. At this point, I would advise you to save your work by pressing Shift right, select all if you want to select every change you have made since the last save, and then enter, and it's done. In the following video, we will see how to use the J-6 to sequence the bassline of the T8, as I did in Hypnotic Loops 5. I hope this video will help you understand how the J-6 sequencer works. Please let me know in the comments section if you have additional questions. Thank you for watching and see you next time.